I mean, I think what people actually buy when they're buying outsourcing is you're buying a combination of the strategy, the management, and the labor. But the way people see what they are buying is they just see, oh, I'm buying an SDR. Yeah. I'm renting an SDR. And any SDR worth their salt, you guys are the experts here. Any SDR worth their salt should be able to go and book meetings because I can book meetings for myself and I've got a 40% close rate. But when you people, and I think there's a couple of things, is one, people don't want to pay for the strategy work that they need. And that's one of the biggest pieces, is they don't understand that there's you got to give people direction. You have to tell people, this is how you build those accounts, that if I book 60 meetings for you, you're going to fucking close some of them, And the second piece is when somebody says, oh, I piss excellence, I've got a 40% close rate, all I need is more meetings on my calendar. The thing that I struggle with is a lot of these AEs don't understand what it's like to take a real cold outbound meeting.
Yes.
We help a lot of companies with adding their first growth channel, beyond founder network, word of mouth, referral, a little bit of inbound. And there's a dramatic difference between somebody who's in your founder's network who is basically ready to buy. There's the social proof, there's everything, there's a relationship, there's trust. Then you go outside into the cold, and as a salesperson, you really got to work for these deals. And I find a lot of AEs that I coach or work with or encounter, they're not prepared, and they're like, "Oh, these meetings suck." You're like, well, yeah, of course they do, compared to your boss's buddy who they go back 20 years. Of course it's going to be harder.
I always try to think about this. For me, it's really, it is amusing, especially, and I'm sure you're here too, because we've both been doing this a very long time. And for me, this has been a decade of doing this. So, before I did this, I was a salesperson, I was a business development person. I did all of these roles. And one of the things that's really interesting is we have, as a sort of business community, especially in B2B software and some of these other sort of verticals, we've gotten ourselves into this problem, because the way that most organizations are going to run their sort of professional development food chain is you come in as an SDR, and then if you're really good and proficient, we want to move you out of that role as soon as humanly possible into the coveted role of being an account executive. When the velvet ropes part, you get your Patagonia vest, and then you get to stop doing all this terrible stuff that you have to do when you're a janitor. The problem is that what companies are doing is essentially just loading up that pipeline management layer with people who are underutilized, and they've really never had to go to battle. To your point, they've gotten leads that are so warm or so easy that they're order taking. It's an administrative function. When someone says I close at a 50% rate, I almost always think that you're full of shit. And the reason is because I don't close at a 50% rate, but I primarily deal with cold prospects, people who come in to our organization through word of mouth or advertising or outbound or whatever it might be. And I got to convince them that we are a good fit through what is effectively consultative selling. So if I'm not doing that, I'm going to have a hard time believing that you're doing that as a product engineering background or something at a company. It just doesn't make sense.